Hey everyone. Okay, let me just do a couple of things and then we can make sure that we're live. So let me close that, press go live. Think we are good. Yay, that looks like it worked. Okay, so today we're talking about overwhelm. The big overwhelm and separation anxiety. It is a thing and it is really, really real. Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Naismith and I help dogs and people overcome separation anxiety. And I help people around the world with my programs, my training programs, my podcasts, and my book. So, first things first, if you are watching, pop into the comments and say hi. Really important. Pop in the comments, tell me where in the world you are, and if you're watching with your dog, and tell me a bit about your dog too. So, the other day, I was in my free Facebook group. Make sure you join that if you haven't joined that free Facebook group already. And we were chatting about what's stopping you. It's January, we're all full of good intentions, we're all raring to go with separation anxiety training, but we don't do it, right? It's January, we're all like really motivated, but we don't get started. And I was really curious what was stopping people from getting started. Here are some of the things. Tell me if this resonated with you. People were saying, I'm actually really scared of the whole process. It seems really big, it seems really challenging, and I'm just not sure I can do it. So there was that kind of fear of the overall process. Number one. Number two, the second thing that people were saying was, I can see that it works. I can see lots of other people having success with the process, but I just feel like it's going to take so long that I don't want to start it because it's going to take so long. So that seemed like the second big reason. And then the third big reason, and this one comes up an awful lot, was I just feel like I tried everything. We've done all the things. We've given so many different things a go and nothing's worked. And yes, I've come across this process and I really believe it could work. But what if it doesn't? This could be our last chance. And so that was another thing that was stopping people from getting started. So that sense of overwhelm was just, I mean, you could just, almost taste it. It was so strong. So pop in the comments and tell me, do either of those three things resonate with you? You're worried about the process feeling really complex, number one. Number two, you think, oh, it's going to take so long, I just can't bear getting started. Or number three, you know what? What if this doesn't work out? I'm too frightened to start because if it doesn't work out, then all bets are off. Okay. And that's okay. It's really okay to feel like that. You are definitely not alone. What we're doing it is something big and it is something challenging. It isn't teaching a puppy to sit. It is way more difficult than that. I mean, I do my best to try and break it down into simple steps and give you everything you need, but I know it's on a whole other level. Now, when we have that overwhelm response, it's our brains being, I call it the caveman brain or cave person. So when that happens, when we feel overwhelm stops us in our tracks, right? Do you know what I'm saying? So when you feel overwhelmed, you just don't want to do anything related to the thing that's making you feel like that. You literally stop in your tracks. And it's a cave person response to a threat, which is, yeah, okay. So let's unpack that a little bit. What do I mean by that? Well, if you've ever heard of the concept of fight or flight, have you heard of that concept? It's basically how our ancestors and how animals today and us still respond to threats. We make decisions to either fight the threat, we run away from the threat. The other thing that we can do is we can freeze in front of that threat. Those are the three big reactions when we're faced with a threat. Now, if you think back to our cave person ancestors living in a cave with predators outside, the threat was life or death. The lion was going to eat you or not eat you, right? It was as fundamental as that. And so to decide whether to run away from the lion, whether to fight the lion, or whether to hide, which is freezing, yeah, they're really rational decisions. But unfortunately, our cave person brain is still here. And it's a little bit buggy now because we are not facing lions at the front door for the most part, for most of us, for most of the time, right? It's not that. The threats that most of us deal with in our everyday life aren't threats to our lives. They're not existential. They're not about survival. But nevertheless, what happens is our brains and our nervous system go into a response as if we were dealing with the threat of a lion. Okay, so that's what goes on when you feel that pit in your stomach, when you feel like I don't want to eat, or I'm so distracted, or I just want to forget about all of this. That's your cave person brain responding to an everyday threat. And it's really naughty. Our brains are really naughty because they are reacting in that very, very, primeval way. First of all, if you've ever felt frustrated by something that overwhelmed you, that's your flight response, right? That is you going, I am just like, grumpy, angry cave person at this threat. Go away, threat. I'm going to just like, at it, right? So if you feel angry, if you feel frustrated by this process, that's what's going on. The second thing, maybe you also feel like you just want to run away from it all. I just want to forget this is happening. I'm going to run away and I'm going to do something else. Right? So that is your flight response. And then your freeze response is when you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I feel so stuck. I'm not going to do anything. If I don't do anything, then I'm not exposed to the threat. So I'm just going to stay here and just pretend it's not happening. Right? That's again, cave person brain doing that to us. So I'm here to talk to you today about what you can do when you have those feelings. So let's dive into that. Having an understanding. So the first thing I want you to do is my 5 strategies for dealing with overwhelm about separation anxiety training. And you're going to find out that at least 4 of them, and actually part of the 5th one, are all about us, are all about our mindset. So the first thing I want you to do when you feel overwhelmed by separation anxiety training, whether you've started or not, is to say it's normal and it's natural. Okay, so try and understand, go back if you need to, maybe rewind through what I was saying. Understand why you feel this way about this threat of separation anxiety training. And by the way, why is it a threat? Why are we responding as if it's a threat? Well, because we are worried. We do, it isn't life or death to us getting our dog over separation anxiety, but it's life changing. So not being able to do that does feel threatening. And yeah, okay, it isn't a question of survival. We're not going to be eaten by a lion, but we really are placing so much onto getting our dogs over separation anxiety that not doing so does feel just threaten us, right? So that's why we are responding to a threat. So first strategy, just be okay and accept it. Understand it and accept it. When you normalize something and you realize that you're not weird, that it's perfectly natural, you're not the only one, we can often start to reduce that sentiment. It doesn't ever mean that we dismiss it and say, oh, I'm just being silly, everybody feels like this. Your feelings are your feelings, and your feelings are really valid. And by the way, I never buy into either saying, oh, I shouldn't feel like this because, there are people starving. Yeah, there are people starving. There are people around the world going through terrible, dreadful things. But so are you. In that moment, so are you. And it's perfectly okay to feel bad while other people feel bad too. It doesn't make your problems any less in that moment. So understand, accept. Number 2, name it. Name it. So when you feel overwhelmed, say it. Say, okay, that's overwhelm. Why am I feeling like this? Why have I got this knot in the stomach when I think about separation anxiety training? Why do I feel like I want to cry when I think about separation anxiety training? Say it out loud. That's just overwhelm. Just name that feeling. And now that's a technique that lots of people use to deal with difficult feelings. Naming it, labeling it. You'd be amazed how different you feel about it when you name the feeling, when you label the feeling. And then as you label that feeling, the next thing I want you to do is to say, okay, is that helpful? So is my response helpful? So I've named it, I've called it overwhelm. Is my overwhelm helping or hindering? Are my thoughts just unhelpful thoughts, or are they really valid? And I'm not going to say that when we feel overwhelmed, there aren't some valid thoughts in there. But often what happens when we feel threatened, we do certain things. We start to catastrophize. We always think about the worst case scenario. We start to really focus on the negative because we're human and that's what we do. And so if we can have this conversation with ourselves out loud or quietly, or even just in our heads, by naming that feeling of overwhelm, asking ourselves whether it's valid and helpful, and isolating the unhelpful feelings from the helpful feelings, because sometimes it is helpful. You know, if you're feeling really confused about separation anxiety training, well, that's a big sign, isn't it? That you need to then go and put your hand up and ask somebody about it. So sometimes it's really helpful to have these feelings, and other times it's not. So quick recap of the first two. 1, accept it, normalize it, understanding it. It's okay. 2, name and label the feeling and call it out for what it is. Ask yourself, are your thoughts unhelpful or are they helpful? Okay. Number 3, a really nice technique, and this isn't just for feeling overwhelmed when you feel overwhelmed about separation anxiety, but a really nice technique is to what they call, well, actually you can use a laptop or you can use a pen and paper for this, but you just brainwrite for about 10 to 15 minutes. So you've probably heard of the concept of brainstorming. Well, this is a little mini thing that you do on your own, and there's no structure to it, but you literally open up a blank document, whether that's paper or whether that's a laptop, and you write about your thing. You write about, in this case, it would be your feelings about separation anxiety training. You write those down and you don't do anything. There's no objective to this other than to get your thoughts and feelings onto paper. Now, research shows that this is a really helpful technique for helping us to normalize our feelings and understand our feelings. So it helps with both 1 and 2, points 1 and 2. So it can be a pen, paper, document, laptop, whatever. Just write for 15 minutes. Now, if you're thinking, oh my goodness, I feel overwhelmed about separation anxiety training, Julie, because I don't have the time. Okay, so that's fine. I get that. So in which case, do 5 minutes, do 2 minutes. I'm a great believer in, if you don't have the full amount of time to do the thing, do a little bit of it anyway, right? So if you don't have 15 minutes, do 3 minutes. It's all good. The next thing, point number 4 that I want you to do, think about journaling. If you journal already, fabulous. Incorporate your thoughts and feelings about separation anxiety training into your journal. So, you know, the whole concept of journaling is that we are reflective. We think about what happened the day before. We think about what might happen today. And there are lots of different structures for journals. There's a ton of information out there if you want to look for different journaling techniques. I use a Rocket book, which I absolutely love. Rocket books are just erasable books. And I happen to use a Rocket book journal because I then can just I have about 10 pages, I think, and every now and again I have to erase them down and start again. But I get up in the morning, I get my cup of tea, and it's literally the first thing I do. And journaling doesn't have to be labor intensive either, because again, I don't want to add to your list of to-do things. But research shows that journaling can be really good for our mental health. So taking 2 minutes out just for you in the morning to do some journaling. And don't think about when you're journaling, it doesn't need to be all singing, all dancing. Lots of journal formats will have many, many different categories that you'll need to complete. Just literally taking a few minutes out to be with your journal is more than enough. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 5, and this is my, if you only do one thing to help with your overwhelm, I want you to think about something called the 2-minute rule. Now, the 2-minute rule, again, there's research around this, is all about taking us from a place of inaction to motivating us to start taking action. So did you know that the absolute best thing you can do when you feel overwhelmed is do something? Like literally do anything. And the 2-minute rule helps us to get that anything going, because one of the big problems that we face with separation anxiety training is that we often set ourselves goals that are way too big. We'll train 5 times a week. We'll train 20 times a month. And yeah, they're great goals, and goals can be really helpful for keeping us focused on the prize. But they're very sneaky when it comes to helping us stay motivated, because as soon as you start to think, I'm going to miss that goal, you start to feel demotivated. So much better is to focus on step-by-step processes. Again, all of this stuff I'm telling you today is all based on research around how people act, think, and behave. So I'm not making any of this stuff up. It's all based on research. So the 2-minute rule is brilliant for just breaking through the getting started thing. And it goes like this. Whatever task or challenge you're facing, don't think about doing anything big on it. Just say to yourself, all right, all I'm going to do is 2 minutes. In fact, the rule says you can't do more than 2 minutes. It's not even just do 2 minutes. The rule says for whatever task that you're struggling to do, say to yourself, okay, brain, we're going to work on this task, but we're not allowed to work on it for more than 2 minutes. Wow, okay, so that's weird. As soon as you set a time limit and you stop your brain from continuing on, 2 things are going to happen. First of all, you think 2 minutes, I can do that. But second, what's going to happen is you'll get to the end of those 2 minutes, you'll feel energized because 2 minutes doesn't feel a lot and you've done it. And you'll get to the end of the 2 minutes going, oh, I feel like I could have done more. I felt like I could have done more. You get started. So what does that look like in terms of separation anxiety training? It isn't going out of the door for 2 minutes, by the way. It's not that. What it is thinking about some task related to separation anxiety training that might take you 5 minutes, but you're only going to spend 2 minutes on it. So it could be, maybe you've bought my book, but you kind of, browse around and you've read it, but you're still not sure where to start. Go to the chapter, and I think it's chapter 5 on training plans, and just spend 2 minutes reading what to do to start your training plans. Or if you read that, take 2 minutes and just brainstorm what a training plan could look like. Or do 2 minutes of door as a ball, okay? But you're not allowed to do more than 2 minutes. And if you only did one thing based on everything we've chatted about today, the 2-minute rule is the number one thing, I think, from all of this that will help you just get your mojo back. When you start taking action, you will feel motivated. And then if you can start taking action, but also keep going back to the other 4 points I raised about naming the overwhelm. Number one was naturalizing and normalizing the feeling. 2 was naming it. 3 was doing the brain writing. 4 was journaling, and 5 was doing 2 minutes. If you can keep that 2-minute rule going with all the other stuff too, you will start to feel differently about this process. All right, so that's my thoughts for today on how to get you through the overwhelm. Let's dive in and do some questions. So Lonnie says, I'm like that, make huge goals, but then never start because they're overwhelming. Yeah, and I want to share an article I read with you, Lonnie, because I've talked for years about how demotivating goals can be and how habits, daily processes are actually better for us in terms of completing difficult things. But there's been some research lately that says, no, hang on a minute, don't completely dismiss goals, because goals do have a role. Goals, if you like, they're kind of the train tracks. They're the things that keep us focused on why we're doing this. The goals are our why, and the why often matters. So yes, we need to focus on today and tomorrow, but sometimes when it gets hard, we need to remind ourselves of the why. And our goal might be to get our dogs to 4 hours so that we can get back to visiting our family at the weekends when we can't take the dog, right? And that focus on the goal helps us sometimes do a little bit of a reset, but we shouldn't set goals that are so demotivating we almost don't want to go there. I had some other questions too, so I'm just going to double check those. Pop in the comments if you do have any questions at all about overwhelm, but also any questions at all about your dog's separation anxiety. So I can't get in and see them, as is always the case. Let me have a look. So any questions about your dog's separation anxiety? I think there are some more here. Where are they? Let me see. Thought I made a note of this. Oh, I'm so annoyed with myself. I thought I pinned the post. Let me just see. Da, 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 da. Okay. You're all very quiet today. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So, let me see. Karen asked. Hi, Karen. Karen says, hello. I've been training my pup with trazodone 1.5 hours prior to departure. He's reached 3 hours with it. I've started a second scenario now without trazodone, as I'd like to pop out for 30 minutes or so without having to plan ahead. So far, we've hit the 10-minute mark, but I've noticed he's more active. He'll walk around a bit, sniff some, grab a toy, etc. Once I heard a small whine. He'll wait and settle on his bed and wait like we do when we do long trainings. Is it okay? He's more active. Yeah, I think you're going to expect your dog to be more active without the trazodone. And in fact, lots of dogs are very active when we do, very active. But activity is normal for some dogs because you're not going out for a ton of time. You're out for 30 minutes at the moment without the medication. And so there's a bit of anticipation. There's a bit of, will you be back soon? What are you doing? Curiosity. Definitely keep an eye out for any other signs that might be anxiety. So body language. If the whining increases, Karen, then I'm definitely starting to get worried. If you get the whining starts sooner, goes on for longer, is louder, then we've got anxiety. But otherwise, I think you can expect a higher level of activity. Hey, Andrea. I just weaned Jasper off fluoxetine, Andrea says, and now he's super clingy. I've been putting off training ever since. 2 minutes sounds doable, as I know I need to start Dory's Bore again. Brilliant. Yes. So that's a lot going on. You've had challenges. You've had a dog who is suddenly changed as a result of the medication change. So hopefully the 2 minute will work for you. It could be 2 minutes of Dory's Bore. It can be one departure. It can be anything. Remember, the rule is you have to stop at 2 minutes. I tell you, when you stop at that 2 minutes, you'll definitely want to do more. I did a whole podcast on the 2 minute rule, a whole other episode. So you can listen to it in more detail there. But you want to do more. You're itching to do more. Lonnie says, I am taking a break from training and now I'm switching my pup's meds. I need to start the training from the beginning again as I can't even go to the bathroom alone. Oh, should I wait until the switch is done or just start now? His anxiety has gotten so much worse. So what does your vet behaviorist say about this? Because normally when a dog is new to meds, I say don't wait. I say don't wait because we don't know how it's going to go, how long it's going to take for the medication to take effect. What worries me here, Lonnie, is that you've almost got no threshold to play with. It's like, the only time I ever say to people don't start training is when we literally can't turn down the intensity enough to get started. So I would probably do no more than Dory's Bore for now, because it sounds like you need to gently get back into it, and hopefully at the same time the new meds are going to start kicking in. So for now, turn that intensity right down. Let's see where it goes with the medication. There was another question posted for me as well. Another two, actually. So Anna says, question from Anna, is there any difference in approach to separation anxiety training if we are dealing with a dog who started developing something like separation anxiety at 7 or 8? Obviously, health issues are in play. Yep. Sounds like you've checked that all out, but nothing that can be treated or drastically improved. Right, this is a really good point Anna's making, because her dog has hip dysplasia and osteoarthritis and pain management is not 100% successful. First of all, can I just say kudos to you, Anna, for being so aware and so on top of your dog and what's going on, the different conditions. And I'm glad you raised the point about pain management, because it's a really hot topic, and so it should be in the world of dog behavior. We are increasingly aware of the impact and the link between behavior and pain. My perspective on it is we should always be looking to rule out pain, but we should also be totally conscious of the fact that pain management, pain resolution isn't about a trip to the vets and a script for an NSAID. It doesn't happen like that. If you think about most humans, a lot with chronic pain, it is a really difficult problem to resolve. It is very difficult, and humans can at least tell us when they're in pain. They can tell us what's making the pain worse. They can tell us they can say they can say what makes the pain better or worse. And with dogs, we don't have that. So yes, let's try and rule out pain for with behavioral issues. But if pain is indicated, let's not assume that we're resolving pain quickly. So we have to do exactly what Anna describes, is we have to work on the training despite the fact that the dog is in pain, because who knows when and how we might resolve that pain. So there isn't anything different that you would do, Anna. You're still going to desensitize. You're going to do it gradually and gently, and which is what you would do regardless of your dog having pain. But your dog having pain means you're going to be even more cognizant of that gentle, methodical approach. And hopefully, as things go along, the pain might improve, maybe not go away, but it might improve. But yeah, you're going to work on the training despite the pain. And I've got a dog who has flare-ups of IVDD, so I do understand the issues when it comes to stuff musculoskeletal. It's really difficult to fix. Chris says, my pup is a 14-week-old. I don't know what R is. It'll come to me in a second. Her breeder has never had a dog with separation anxiety. Oh, Chris says, what did I do to set this in motion for her? She at times is quite feisty and confident. Did I not crate train her properly? No, it's not you. I promise you it's not you. I absolutely love her, but I do need to be out every now and again. I spend most of my time at home, but for my sanity, I need to go out. And of course, I need groceries. I can leave her with other people. It's the alone in her crate that she barks and barks. Okay, so you definitely want to start working on her separation anxiety training, which it sounds like you're doing. And also just know it's not you. It isn't something that you did. Just because your breeder's never had a dog with separation anxiety before, two things there. One is you don't know that's true. You don't know that. Your breeder doesn't know that. Lots of people don't recognize separation anxiety for what it is. They think it's just dogs being dogs. So you don't know that. Number one. Number two, just because they say they've never had a dog with separation anxiety, that still doesn't mean to say that there couldn't be something that happened to your puppy, either genetically very early on, or in the very early stages of development, even when your puppy was being carried by the dam. So no, please don't say that. Please don't think that. I think it's unfortunate that your breeder has made you feel like it's your fault. It isn't. So you're doing all you can. Keep focusing on that separation anxiety training, because just because your breeder says that, I am not convinced. Okay, so any other final questions? I am just going to check a couple of places and we will see. Let me see what else is going on. Okay. No, I think we are good. All right, so do what you can to beat that overwhelm, because it is our brains just playing tricks with us, and we've all been there. It's not great. And it's that sneaky cave person brain coming in and trying to make us feel bad about everyday stuff that we're trying to achieve. So whenever you feel really stuck, don't forget to lean in. There's my free Facebook groups. I do these lives every week. And if you want to ever come and work with me, there's my private there's my private membership, Separation Anxiety Heroes. Meanwhile, keep me posted on how you do, and I'll look forward to seeing you all online soon. Bye for now, everyone.